Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great episode of.
It's called the It's called the podcast because Bryan Callen's up in this bitch.
Yes, and here we are, ladies and gentlemen. My guest this week is Mr. Bryan Callen.
Yeah.
And I got the singing mic. You want some singing mic?
Watch this. Well, I got the singing mic. I never liked Sammy Hagar. I got the singing mic.
Give me that damn thing.
Sorry, man. It's early in the morning. Damn it. Eric Griffin, the man I have good conversations with.
Well, it's good to see you, man. I'm glad you came out. We finally made this happen.
Indeed.
And
Indeed,
it's,
we live close.
Yeah, right? You know what's funny about the comedy business? I feel like, we think we know each other, but it turns out like sometimes we really don't know each other.
Well, because we don't spend enough time getting down to what's actually important.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah, so it's all is, hey, what's up, and grab ass. But then you and I, once in a while, like we'll be backstage at some comedy festival, and I'm like, oh, this dude's in my age bracket, and we can talk about what actually matters. You have the same references and stuff, and it just cracks me up.
It is a weird thing. It's like I always think that like we're at the comedy club, we see each other, and then comics see each other, but like and then real life gets in the way of things, and sometimes you don't know. Like sometimes you find out a comic had a baby, or they they got married, or some life event happened, and I'm like, oh, they never told me. And then you go, well, maybe we're not as close as it seems.
If you're not in somebody's life, you're just not. But then what will happen is there's a lot of noise as you get older, a lot of noise. And things change quickly at the speed of technology, and people are making inroads. And what happens, though, is you meet somebody who's your age and gone through all of it, and you're reminded a lot of this stuff is not true. Like it still takes time to get what you want. It still takes time to become a whole human being. And then you'll meet, like, so we were talking, and I'm just like, oh yeah. That's a reminder that there are no shortcuts. It's something like that.
Well, I mean, but then we get caught I feel like we have, in this era right now, we have one foot in the old school and then one foot trying to find the step for the new school. And it's like, so one of them is like podcasting, right? Yeah,
you're mourning in some ways a way that used to be, and in a way you're almost mourning your own mortality.
Yes.
I missed the Johnny Carson time when there were 4 channels. There's something about that Mary Tyler Moore that had an impact when in fact a certain kind of genius was rewarded. Well, I in other words, like I was listening to old Fiona Apple songs. Mm-hmm. Say what you will about Fiona Apple, man, she had some deep lyrics,
and she had a lot of shit going on.
She did, but now I feel like I'm speaking like an old dude. But the music scene it's become these nuggets that you can consume, and then it just goes away.
Okay, I feel like we are old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially talking like this.
Yeah. No, it's like, and so like,
let me take my teeth out.
This is the same thing that was happening. Like, look, Aristotle or whatever wrote like an essay about the kids of the time.
That's true.
And if you read that, it's probably relevant today. If we read that article that he wrote, we'd be like, oh, this always happens. People get old and they think that they know what's best.
And they don't.
And we
don't.
Like even
and it's not, and it is, you're right. I mean, I think that millennials or whoever you want to call it, they know. A lot of them are searching for meaning and purpose too.
Yeah.
They're just feeling their way out because the world's moving fast for them too.
But I think that we talk like this, like when we think about, like you mentioned music. So I feel like when you look at music and you go, oh, the music of today, they don't know how, but that every generation, they say that.
Yeah, you're right.
They keep saying the same thing.
And there was a lot of junk back then. There's a lot of junk now, right?
That's why when do we know what really messes us up is when we listen to those stations like 80s on 8 or 90s on 9 or 70s on 7. When you listen to those kind of serious stations, the problem is they're only playing the hits.
That's true.
So when you listen to that station, you might think this is what music was supposed to sound like. Yeah, because they're only playing the top two of
very true
of every. You know what I mean? They're playing the A sides.
but to push back on that a second, and I think you're right about that. But when back in the day, and I might be wrong, but let's just take someone like Marvin Gaye. Let's just take there was in a lot of ways the notion that music was somewhat revolutionary, right? So you had an ability to change the world a little bit,
right?
Like it was either so let's just take someone like Miles Davis, Marvin Gaye, whoever, the people who grew up Black in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, where as a man you really couldn't express yourself without some danger to your person, right?
Okay.
But you could do it through your music. Right? I don't know, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that's
there's no revolutionary music anymore.
I'm not saying that's the idea, but by the way, I don't even know what I'm saying, but I wonder if because there was fewer options to become successful, that it sort of like
does that mean that was better?
It condensed the best. And so you had a Marvin Gaye. Do we have today a Marvin Gaye, a Led Zeppelin, a Miles Davis? I don't know if we do. I don't know.
Okay, my pushback on what you're saying is maybe if technology was as advanced as it is now, if there was as many outlets as there are now back then, we would have found out that there were actually more than one Marvin Gaye's.
That's good. That's fair.
So it's like with the
because there is some. I was listening to a couple of the. I got the streaming service on in my car.
Yeah,
I don't know music, man. I'm not qualified to be talking historically about music, but there is some. From what I can tell, there's some good songs out there, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, I know what you're saying, but it's like I don't know how do we stay relevant? Like who tells us that this is what you should be listening to right now? So I think back in the day, you had no choice because it was like, here's the one radio station that's on, the one rock station, the one whatever station, and they were always playing the hits.
Yeah.
And that was the only way to find it. It's just like with television, that like you knew what the number one show was because it was like there was only 4 networks and everybody's talking about MASH. So it was like you had to watch MASH.
Yeah.
But now with like 1,000 networks, there's
so it becomes diluted, right?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of great stuff. We just can't find it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
But
is there a lot of great stuff, or is there less to push against? I'm asking, is there less to push against than there was, say, in 1974? And does that have an effect on the artistic expression of the day? Well, I don't know.
But if you go to Billboard charts, go to Billboard charts, go look at, say, the top 174. I bet you there's like 50 of those people that you're like, oh, I don't even know who that is.
100%.
Like, who's this person?
100%.
So I'm just saying there's probably shit in every era.
100%.
Like instead of thinking about like the great, because this is what we're talking about. It's like the greats,
No, you're right.
But
and I
you're
guess
not even talking about it.
when you have when you have a limited number of radio stations, you are gonna. It's going to get only the best is going to rise to the top, right?
Right.
It's like back in the day when you did Carson as a comic, it made your career. Well,
I know.
By the time you did that 5 minutes, man, you were Now.
Yeah. What do you think?
It make a dent.
Yeah. What do you think about? I know.
Doesn't make a dent.
Yeah. It would be better to
do it on Instagram.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, look at what's happening to people. I just had someone on my podcast, Amanda Cerny. She's this internet person, and she's worked her ass off from being a Playboy playmate to like now 25 million followers. Damn. Just like got a fitness thing, and like what I find is that I'm just going to count us as like a little old school era, but we're in this transition where we're not quite like that era where like they were coming up in the 80s and they were like, oh my God, we were making $3,000 at a triple run.
Yeah.
Like we missed all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in this era where we're trying to make it seem like it's supposed to be back the way it is, but it's not. And we can't figure out like why it's happening the way it's happening now. And then we're doing these things like look how your life has changed from a podcast.
I know.
Like, it's amazing. Like, I've been on TV for 13 years. Okay. And this podcast, my small level of success in this podcast game, which is very small in comparison to like Fighter and the Kid and Chris and Theo, but people come into my shows now like, hey, man, love your podcast. And I'm like, what?
Right.
So it's like trying to accept this new way is weird.
Well, I've never been, the podcast, I started by saying, because I was watching Rogan sell tickets, and I was like, I just want to sell more tickets.
Me too.
Because TV wasn't doing it.
Which is crazy.
And
isn't that hard to accept?
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing Schooled, and it got picked up for a second season. I guarantee it has a minimal. I mean, I might sell 3 tickets.
Yeah.
But my podcast, your podcast makes you famous. Like your podcast, like
definitely keeps you relevant.
People go, "Oh, you're Bryan Callen. I listened to you on The Fighter and the Kid." So what? Huh?
Yeah.
That's where. Well, what do we get? 800,000 downloads an episode. It's a lot of people, man.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was like I knew something was up because I'm always a podcast guest. I'm on I do everybody, and I was like, so the first time I did Rogan, I was like, I was at the Irvine Improv that weekend. That was the first time I'd ever gotten bonuses at the Irvine Improv.
There you go.
And that's when I knew. I was like, oh, I got to start a podcast.
That's the bump.
I was like, it was like, that is an amazing, like, because you know what? Because it's direct to consumer.
Correct. This is the first time in history that the artist has a shitload of power.
Yeah.
We can make all the money.
Yeah,
I'm going to start a podcast with Will Sasso.
Right.
And
how many podcasts are you going to do, motherfucker?
Just 2. Just 2, if I can. I mean, what's funny about, how about this? How about I give you this note? I will do a TV show, and everybody wants a sitcom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. I'm probably going to take a bit of a pay cut. I'm all good with it. But how about that? Well, and I'll be working 12 hours a day on my feet. I'm very grateful to do it. I don't even consider it work. It's make believe, and I love everybody I work with. But what I'm saying is, technology has made it so I could spend 3 days a week doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And doing the road.
Yeah.
And I could make more money.
Yeah.
Now, what?
I know.
What?
Well,
and my agent, Justin Eberk, said that's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
He said, you're going to get to a point where TV is going to be a pay cut.
Yeah.
I was like,
you were CAA?
Yeah.
Oh, same here.
Yeah. And I've been grinding for 25 years, and you're telling me.
I know.
You're telling me now?
I know, but see, that's the hard part. The hard part is like you see a goal. You see like, you have to do it this way. You got to do it this way. You got to get on TV and all this stuff.
And it changes.
And all of a sudden they just go, anybody can they're like, oh, I want to start a podcast. And like, you get some fame and fortune.
Making real money, some people.
Oh,
25 million followers. That's millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. She got 2 houses. She got a house and she just started a podcast herself.
And her name is what?
Amanda Cerny.
All right.
It's crazy. You know what's funny is like, okay, say 10 years ago, what people were doing was like these actors and stuff they would start doing stand-up because their agents would be like, hey man, it's a lot of money in stand-up. You're famous. You can get people to come to the things. They're bypassing that now.
Yeah.
Now they're like, I'm just gonna do a podcast.
Yeah.
Look at Will Ferrell. He just was like, somebody must have came to him and said, dude, do you know how much money there is in podcasting?
Yeah.
Just do Ron Burgundy or whatever. And now immediately it was like, #1 podcast, Conan.
Okay, you're not competing with Will Ferrell. He's phenomenal.
But look at Conan. Conan too. He started his podcast. Now if he came to you like, hey, do you want to come on my show? You might be like, can I be on the podcast?
So true. What do you want? 3 minutes on your show? Or how about we do a podcast?
Yeah, can you talk to me for an hour on a podcast?
And that's really taken its toll on celebrity, quote unquote, because it used to be celebrities would come down from the mountain, and you'd get 5 minutes of what Arnold Schwarzenegger was like. You'd be like, damn,
yeah, I know.
Tom. Now,
or you have to read a magazine in a supermarket, like as you're in line, you go, ooh, look what this has to say.
Yeah, now Rogan, you're doing a podcast. I'll learn. I don't even have to read the book. I can just listen to the dude talk for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Anybody I want, I have access to the best that's in their brain and the funniest that's in their brain.
I think that's what it is too. I realize like with it's just weird thing, when your fans or whatever come up to you and they're like, oh man, I love your podcast. Just the way they say it, you get like, this is fan art. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. How about that?
It's just like, it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
And
you also have a picture of you holding a giant fish.
Yeah.
Is that a salmon?
I did a movie and they made that.
They made that. That's not even real.
It's not even real.
Oh,
but it looked so real that I was like, look at me.
Oh my God.
I could come up with a story, just lie to people.
That's
and be
imposed. I was like, I don't think Eric's a deep sea fisherman. I'm not either.
I like how now you there was a level of respect that you started that rose in you for a second. Like this guy, I didn't know this guy. I should have lied to you. Been like, that was a 75 pounder off the coast to like some weird place.
75 pounds. And I was like, Eric's holding that thing up really easily, and looking all casual off in the distance with his glass. You didn't rope that thing in with your glasses on. I think.
Would you stop examining my?
Sorry, man. Sorry. I'm
you stop picking apart.
Picking apart the lie.
How dare you?
By the way, I like the Pulp Fiction movie poster.
Yeah, I got. I'm trying, man. Like, I just like I said, I don't have a big studio like Fighter and the Kid, and like I got my
this
my
works.
nerd.
You don't need it. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
You got a cool fake brick background.
I've been building. Each week. I have a wand.
Is that a wand?
Yeah. You know what? I was in that.
Was that a walrus tusk? What the fuck?
I was in Nashville at the club in Nashville, and one of the waitresses, like, she heard me talking about Harry Potter, and she comes up to me like, "Hey, I actually make wands," and I was like, "Okay," and then she brought me this. So I wish I knew her name. It was like, isn't that great?
I make wands.
Yeah,
she had to whittle that shit down. Etch that.
What a hobby, right? I'm a wand maker.
Some people, it's like you see dudes practicing tightrope in a park.
You're like, still?
You go to work right now, young man.
I know.
You're not in the circus.
I know, but what do you think about, first of all, where are you from originally?
Well, that's a good question because I remember I
like to get people's origin stories.
Well,
then we
I was
just
born, and I'll go through you want to know, this is my life until I was 14.
Okay.
Born in the Philippines.
Really? Military?
Banking, military. Moved to the...
So your father was in the military?
My dad was a Marine.
Okay. So you're Filipino.
I'm 100% Filipino. Born in Manila. Moved to India, where we lived in Calcutta, and then Mumbai, where my sister was born. It was Bombay back then.
Wow.
Then we got moved to Lebanon. This is every 2 years.
Oh, Jesus.
Lebanon. Then Pakistan.
Oh, my God.
Then Lebanon again. Beautiful Lebanon was. The war broke out. Stuck in the war.
Like
Everybody
84.
thought it was going to be earlier than that, sir. Everybody thought it was going to be it was 75.
Okay.
Everybody thought it was going to be a quick war. Turned into a 35-year civil war. We get evacuated to Greece.
Wow.
2 years in Greece. Then Saudi Arabia.
Oh, my goodness.
Dry and very severe Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia's the
12
worst.
years old to 14 years old. Did you go there?
Yeah, I've been to Saudi Arabia. Okay. It's the worst.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Saudi's got. We can get into Saudi, but I love the people, but it's a tough place.
Yeah, it's a tough place to be. It's a tough place to live. It's a tough place to understand.
It's Wahhabi Islam. It's a very puritanical strain of Islam.
Oh my goodness!
There's a real adherence to that. And it's an oppressive regime. Their new king is not a good guy. Not a good guy.
Have any of them been good guys?
And somehow the United States can't bring themselves to condemn the shit they've done in Yemen and everything else. But forget all that. But the point is that so I'm 14, and the schools they don't allow foreigners to go to high school there. So I go to boarding school in Massachusetts for the first time.
Oh wow!
I moved to the United States. Never lived in the United States.
Oh wow!
So
how did you even have school? But because your dad was in the military, you had American citizenship because of that.
Yeah. My father was a banker. He worked for Citibank, but also probably did a little work for the military as well. So, so then they're in Saudi Arabia. I'm in Massachusetts going to boarding school.
Wow.
Summers in New Hampshire where I go to summer camp because there's nothing else to do. I can't go back to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And then I go to college in Washington D.C. for 4 years.
Oh wow,
American University, and then I'm New York for 7 years or whatever, and then I'm 100 years old. By the way, if you're doing the math.
If you're doing the math, yeah.
And then I
turned 60.
I'm 27. I'm 27. I get MadTv, this show called MadTV. As an original cast member, don't belong there, not ready for it, not good enough to do it. Everybody there had been doing the sketch for way longer than I had. And somehow I find my way through, get fired after 2 years, and then and thus begins the journey of Los Angeles and sitting in traffic and hearing the word no over and over again.
Yeah.
But finally, at 52, I'm internationally known, and I'm sure it's very exciting to have me in this room.
Oh, God.
So where am I from? I'm from LA, man. I'm from down. I had to ruin everything.
It was going great.
All the energy leaves your body. Oh God.
And here we go.
Here we go. Brian's awesome, I guess.
Can I tell you something? You're literally the only guy, the only comic that I know that I'm totally okay that it can be on 24 hours a day. Like, you're the only one.
I take that as a compliment.
It is a huge compliment because there are guys that, like, you know, you're around them and then they're doing a thing. They got their shtick and you're kind of just like, hey, man, turn that shit off.
Well, because I think sometimes you realize that's all there is. And you and I seem to talk about what's important. You know, at the end of the day.
But you just have a way about you that's like, it's always like, I'm like, okay, I'm good with like what he's doing right now.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I really
so
do.
It's great, you know. But again, I'm a fan of your work. My favorite credit if I ever bring you on stage is always like from Reba.
It's the best.
I loved you on Reba.
Yeah. Buzzard. I played Buzzard.
Reba was a great show. It's just one of those weird shows that I was like, you've been on so many things, you know? So, but you know, it is what it is. And here's your journey. So now here we are right now. So, but what do you think about the business in the last, like, 2 or 3 years with everything that's going on socially, like, you know,
I think
how it's affected, you know, like Me Too, Trump, like all these things. Have you noticed how it's affect your performance?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at the fact that you can't say the F word when referring to a gay man now, that used to be an acceptable prejudice. If you look at how being gay is no longer to be crucified on the playground, in high school, or in the workplace. You don't have to keep it a secret. That came out of the AIDS epidemic, the plague. That came out of the war. And a lot of people are too young to remember this, but gay people went through fucking hell and a form of a Holocaust, all due respect, of course, to the Holocaust.
Yeah, right.
but for real, man. And I was in New York and I watched men die and go through this terrible crisis. And I'm sorry, it was a war. They were decimated, and it was a horrible disease that robs you of your dignity. You starved to death. You got weird lesions on your body. Right. It was horrible, and you were hit with it in the prime of your life. That galvanized a community to fight back, to unify, and to be heard. And that's where Will and Grace, which I always contend is one of the revolutionary shows. We didn't have a gay show, and Will and Grace broke that mold. And all of a sudden, gay people were brought into your living room every week, and we fell in love with them.
Andy Dick would say that he was first, but
Andy Dick is sexually ambiguous. God bless him.
But he would say that being that type of character on television, he was doing before.
Yes, yeah, well, probably, and he was, and I worked with him when he was doing that character on what the fuck was his first show, Network, or no, it was called. Do you remember with Joe Rogan and Andy Dick?
News Radio.
News Radio, great show.
Yeah,
but So my longer point is this. So now we have the Me Too movement. And I'm not comfortable with it. I'm a guy. I'm a dude. And I'm a dude in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I felt threatened by it in a lot of ways. I was nervous. I was worried. I was like, you start taking inventory of all the times that you've been inappropriate.
Yeah,
and
right.
I have been. Hashtag,
I said the same thing.
Hashtag I have.
Yeah.
But it didn't dawn on me, man. It didn't. I'm an old man.
Yeah.
And what it did is it forced me to look. I started paying attention to what women actually deal with.
Yeah.
And and I just believe in a meritocracy. I'm not a feminist. I just believe in if you're fucking good for the job, I don't give a shit what you just be competent.
I'm about things being an elitist system.
The best. I'm starting a business and I don't give a fuck. It does not matter what you. I can tell you. I can show you who I'm about to hire.
Right.
It's diverse, but I'm not. That's not because I just know they're funny and good, right?
But at the same time, though, the pushback on that, on what because I believe the same thing. I'm talking about just on stage.
You believe in a hierarchy of competence,
and it's like I believe in elitist. I believe that's why sports is great because you're never gonna you can't fuck with sports.
Correct.
It's like these are the best. But the point is that the pushback is that the same opportunities aren't presented.
Well, and so I think like things like the Me Too movement and things like these. Some of these things always go too far. The nature of any revolution is to eat its own young and create what Obama called a circular firing line. So that's part of the growing pains of people kind of going, hold on, hey,
the pendulum swings.
I've been dealing with this shit forever. And I actually do think that when you're a boss, and let me just explain how it's subtle. I hooked a friend of mine up who's a beautiful girl with interviews, and the guys, there was all dudes. It was a sausage fest, and the dude asked her out. Now he didn't give her the job, but what was she going to say?
Yeah.
Yes, and you get the job. No, and you don't. Now you can't prove that. You can't.
Right.
You just can't. So if you have a boss and he asks you out when you're working with him, and you need that job, he may not fire you, but depending on who that guy is, you may pay a price in a very subtle, unprovable way.
Right.
Okay. So in a way, I understand how this movement has put people on their best behavior.
Yes.
Because I don't like the fact that you can get accused, you can be ruined by an accusation.
Right.
But it puts you on notice, and it makes you
more
as a man,
thoughtful.
It makes you more thoughtful,
yeah.
and it makes you realize you and I've done this where I'm way more aware. And what started it was fear, but now I'm more aware of what somebody goes through. And I don't like being a bully, and I don't want to create an environment where people can't fully express themselves. You understand?
I totally understand what you're saying.
And so that's the positive side of all these progressive movements.
Yeah.
I got my own problems with the left, but I also think it's needed. And I think anytime you have social change, you're going to have crusty motherfuckers like me going, hey, I'm getting left out. What do you mean you don't want more straight white guys on Netflix and doing specials? I'm funny. Well, okay, but I also remember being 28, 29 with women who were 40, had been doing it forever, and I got a special. I got Letterman.
Yeah.
And I remember a really great comic who's a woman. She goes, "Did you get Letterman?" She was like, "Jesus, I wish I was." She didn't mean it this way, but she was like, "I wish I was a 28-year-old good-looking young guy." And it's true.
Yeah, me too.
That's who was. Yeah. Well, there you go. Me too. Right.
Yeah,
now.
because my pushback on on these movements is that that they have to remember like I don't like when women look at the lineup of the Comedy Store and then they tweet out like there's no women on the lineup. Yeah. And my thing is like
men have been at it for a long time. Yeah. No, but first of all,
well, not just that, because my pushback on it is look at the lineup closely. It's also mostly white. Yeah. Like, don't take away from what I had to do to get on there. It's not women versus men.
No.
It's like
stand-up, but traditionally was there were a lot of black comics, but it was started with the Jewish Borscht Belt. It started with the Catskills. It started with the Jews. The Jews invented the American art form known as improv. And Sam Wasson wrote a book about this called Improv Nation. This started in Chicago with Russian immigrant Jews who were helping children who were underprivileged express themselves. Okay. So
you heard it
if
here
you
first.
want to talk about white, please don't conflate Jewish people with white people. It's offensive. If anybody who says that, you see, and we're doing this now, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Pick up a history book, you dumb motherfucker, because it's so historically offensive. When you were a Jew up until, 30 years ago in this country, it was, you weren't getting into businesses. You had to fuck. And if you were a Jew 40, 50, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, that's fucking a blip. That's a blink of an eye in history. You were rounded up and killed. You were kicked out of Russia and everywhere else. And that continued and continues to this day.
Yeah.
If you're a Jew, I'm not Jewish, but I'm talking this way. If you're a Jew, you comprise 0.1% of the world's population. So don't conflate fucking being Jewish with being a straight white male. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So everybody has their story.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody has their story. So I don't even know what your nationality is. But
what I'm saying is, in the comedy game, and that's why I believe in, like you say, I believe in
meritocracy.
Yes, because what ends up happening is everybody could say something. Because if you look at a list, you could be like, well, there's not enough Mexicans. There's not enough Asians. There's not enough this. So how do we decide? It's got to be the best.
Well, the way you decide is you let the marketplace, because what happens is there's money to be made in stand-up. Now you're going to have a lot, and you do have a lot of Hispanic,
whatever the market,
Vietnamese, Chinese, Korean American. you're going to have Arabic, and you're going to have all these people who are like, man, I can be funny too. I'm the class clown.
Right.
It's just self-expression. And there's always room for original self-expression. There is always room for another fresh off the boat. There is always room for, when are we going to see an Arabic sitcom? I want to see what it's like to be an Arabic American.
Well, you got to watch Rami on Hulu.
Yeah.
Rami Youssef. It's actually really, really great show. He's on there. He's like a Muslim millennial.
There you go.
In the show, it's based off his own life. It's actually
working through it.
Yeah.
Working through what it's like to be Muslim.
Yeah.
Working through what it's like to have a lot of young men be terrorists from other countries who, in the name of Islam. How do you deal with it? How do you negotiate that? It's part of the American fucking. We're messy in America.
Yeah.
Let it be messy. Let it be messy. Let us figure this shit out.
But I think with all this stuff that's happening as we're talking about this, it's like, again, I think it's made, as a comic, you have to be just more thoughtful. You can't just, your punchline just can't be she's got big tits or whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
Or it's like, actually it's made, I have to really think about this.
You can say it, but for the most part, people are like, really?
I don't think it's appreciated as much as it was before.
Yeah.
Or just kind of like left
I don't really think I always try to avoid that as I never liked making fun of people, and I never liked
you make yourself the butt of the joke.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I do the man shit, but it's all tongue in cheek.
Yeah, but again, tongue in cheek to us, to somebody out in the audience might be like, oh, here's another man saying some man stuff.
Though that's rare. I think that we're hearing the Twitterverse is not a good example of.
It's really not, because first of all, that doesn't represent America.
No,
it's just like some like elitist people who like and then we look at that as like, oh, this is what people think, and it's actually not.
Yeah,
if that's what people thought, then someone like it'd be a different president.
It's like this comic I know. I looked at his. Somebody showed me his. They were saying some stuff about him. They showed me his Instagram, and he's got 400,000 plus followers, and I was like, he does? That doesn't make sense. And then I saw that his videos had 6,000 views.
Right.
And I was like, this dude, and the person said he bought those followers, and I'm like, that's not a real following.
Yeah.
And so Twitter's kind of like that. Twitter's a little bit like that, where it's like that's not a real good metric for the American mood.
I know, but unfortunately in our business, they rely on it so much.
Well, fucking corporations rely on it.
So, well, every club. Doesn't how many times every club will hit you? Hey, I know you. Hey, you're coming to us in a couple weeks. Can you tweet? Can you put up a video?
There's a good side of that though too, because we don't have to do as much press, and you can become your own PR.
I know, I get that, but it's like, what did they do before? Like, what did they do before? Well, the social media, like how did people? How did clubs,
magazine articles,
or the newspapers are calling
local press.
But they act like there's no other way to get people to come to the club other than social media.
But nowadays,
I feel old. That's me being old.
But think about this. Now they want you to do a magazine. My first question is it the cover of Time? Because I don't know if anybody gives a fuck.
Right.
Right. When was the last time you read
you could do a magazine, but then like it's going to be connected to a website.
Yeah.
But even that is like, and the website will have.
I mean, if you put me on the cover of a magazine and it's in every airport in the country, maybe I'd be like, all right, I guess that's sort of, I'm
like, can we even imagine
do I have to have my shirt off?
I saw you on.
There's nothing worse than seeing actors who are they got ready for their cover of Muscle and Fitness. Hey, dude, come on, bro. Don't John Johnson is stacked. All right.
What are you talking about? That's going to be you. You're going to you're going to be like
60 on 60 and steroided up. This guy used to be kind of hairy. Now he's shaved and brown and shiny.
I think steroids. Maybe technology is going to advance to the point where it's like already they have creams, but I'm just wondering, like, it's going to get to a point where it might be like CBD oil. You just go boom, then your body's going to feel great.
Well, you do have that. You can rub. There is testosterone cream, but they're going to have some gene editing shit. I'm waiting in line, man. I can't wait.
Well, they're saying right now that people's bodies. This is the first time in history that the body is outliving the mind.
Yeah, well, that's where you're going to be able to interchange parts. You're going to be able to print tissue. You'll be able to print organs.
Well, what they got to figure out is like what's going on with in our head, the deterioration of the brain.
They are.
Yeah,
they're reverse engineering the brain.
I hope so, because like my mom's at a point right now where she's dementia's kicking in, and it's just a shame because she's still a vibrant woman. You know what I mean? But it's like, what do you do?
I don't know. Creatine apparently is a little bit helpful, and
I'm hearing even CBD and all that kind of stuff. But it's like what I'm saying is like it's like they go like who wants to live longer if you're gonna I don't want to be 130 and then be like you can't
you know what I think about
can't even do shit.
Yeah, you know what I think about when they say 130? I think about when you say that. I think I would learn how to play an instrument fluently. I would master the piano.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to. The arthritis in your fingers. You wouldn't even be able to play.
All right, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What?
I have to have my.
Where
fingers
are we moving?
Work. My fingers would have to work.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, you can't even. You're. But already, don't you already feel like because you're still an athlete. You're 52, still an athletic guy. Yeah. You box, you kickbox. Okay, whatever.
Sorry. Here we go.
Here we are, everybody.
You came down to the gym, didn't you?
Yeah, I still go to that place. I like that place. Yeah. But what I'm saying is are you already at that point where your brain is telling you can do something and your body's like, Bryan, come on.
Yes. Well, I did this video for Dalia and I was hitting mitts and I was like, and then when I saw it, I was like, God, I'm slow. I mean, it's a bummer.
Wait, I did the same thing. So they tape you sometimes. They go, So I'm doing this. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm like, I'm fucking these mitts up, right? And then I saw the video, and it was like,
slow motion, baby. The palsying hand of Father Time.
I'll be like, I will get beat up on the streets, man.
Father Time, bro.
Yeah, undefeated.
Well. And wisdom is sort of that notion of coming to terms with your own limitations and making the best of it. There's something beautiful about embracing your, I guess, the fact that you're running out of road.
Yeah, it is what it is. I remember I had this young friend of mine, and he always wants to play basketball, and so I still thought, okay, So I went to play with him, and I was like. I was like, oh my God. Like he just was stronger and just zipping by me. And I was like, oh, that's it. That was my retirement.
Well, that's why
what I mean?
My
I walked off the court like, I'm done, everybody.
My trainer wants me to get in the ring sometimes with Logan Paul. He's a 24-year-old kid. Yeah. And he boxes. And he was joking around. He goes, let's spar, Bryan. And in my back of my mind, I was like, I spar a lot. I was like, I would. And I was like, wait a minute. This kid is. Then I looked at him and I was like, this kid is big.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Muscular.
Yeah.
And athletic and knows how to put his body behind his punches. Yeah. And I was like, I can't fuck.
What are you doing?
I can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be dangerous for me.
Yeah, exactly. What would be the point?
He hit me he could hit if I make one mistake and he catches me on the side of the head. I might have fainting spells for the next 8 months.
Right.
I can't do that shit.
Yeah.
It's not. Well, what's not for me, sir? Not for me.
I go
be a silly goose, Bryan.
I go to boxing just to just for the workout, right? That's I'm not trying to go to
You're not trying to get.
I'm not trying to get to the ring. That would be.
You're not trying to be a pro.
No,
that's why.
Get out of here.
Brandon Adams, who won the Contender, and he was nice enough to move around with me, not spar with me. Just hey, bro, come move around with me, joking around. Yeah. He never hit me. He's just a good. And I hadn't been doing it for a long time, but I was so gassed. But I remember being mad. I was like, damn, because he was just doing whatever. And my buddy goes, excuse me, come over here for a sec.
World champion.
That's a 26-year-old professional boxer.
Yeah.
You're not. You're 50-year-old man. What? You're not suggesting that there was in any way.
You don't think that
a shot that you could do anything.
But we do think that. I think you have to have first of all, you have to have a little bit of delusion.
Of course you do.
That's what keeps us going.
100%.
You don't want to be in the even I am in there you know what? Test me. You know what I mean? After you leave boxing, you on the street just looking at people hey, don't sleep. Don't sleep.
I'm
gonna hit this pivot foot.
My father's 75-year-old. My buddy's 75-year-old father on full court basketball, playing basketball, tried to fight a young man. They had to hold him back. He's 75.
Right.
Bro.
I know.
Hey man. Come on now.
And a proper young person is gonna be like, come on, old timer. Let me, you know what I mean?
Or it might be a young person who didn't have a good relationship with his father.
Or just have no respect for their elders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
There are dudes out there who are like, oh, that just reminds me of all the trauma because my dad used to hit me. I had to sleep with my shoes on because he'd wake me up when he was drunk. Bop, bop, bop.
But have you in your adult life, Have you been in situations where you've had to like go to the jujitsu? Have you've had to go to the boxing skills?
Not
have you? Yeah,
not for years.
You're right.
I mean, you know.
Well, especially when
I wouldn't.
Right.
And I'd figure something out. Right? Like drive really fast away.
I know exactly what you're saying, man. Like, you know, it's like, hey,
if I'm with my kids and you come at me, right. You're gonna lose an eye, but otherwise, you know.
Yeah, I always say, like, for me, I always think to myself, like, if I have to get into some fight, if somebody's coming at me, I have to say to people, hey, you're gonna have to kill me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna I'm going to come at you in a way.
Bite. You're going to bite and scratch.
Yeah. I'm coming at you.
I'm going to girl fight with the shit out of you, motherfucker.
With the full force of like.
I studied cats.
I'm coming at you with tiger style, man. Like, I'm not going to like, I have to protect who I am.
I'll take my index finger and stick it right. I mean, there's a lot of shit you can do to a person.
Yeah. So don't think that this isn't going to end well.
I'm not putting my dukes up and slipping your shots. But in my mind, I train because I'm getting ready. I realize, and I'm writing jokes about this, I realize that at the end of the day, I'm always getting a little bit ready to fight for my life.
I know what you're saying.
I'm always afraid. I'm never relaxed.
Yeah. Why is that?
Oh, you know.
I think it's
childhood.
Probably there's also the insecurity of being a performer.
Insecurity of being a human being and being 170 pounds and 5'11", and you know, I mean, I don't know, because I'm a fucking balloon in a forest of pins. Just being a human being.
What imagery? How long would you last? You can't be.
You know,
come on, you're a balloon in a forest of pins.
I'm just life. It's easy. It's easy to kill you, man. You know,
that'd be like if you're saying like I'm a lit match in a forest of gasoline.
That's funny.
You wouldn't last.
No, you wouldn't.
It's more. I'm just saying you need to find a better analogy. You're better than that.
you can toughen your skin a little bit so you can scrape those thorns. Maybe.
Okay.
But you know, we're all going down.
No, I understand what you're saying, man.
Yeah.
You know, but like, what do you think about being at the Comedy Store right now? Like,
I think it's never been better.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, it's probably been better, but we're back.
Well, it's you know, it's the best comics in the world. You and I are lucky enough to be at the, you know, we get those spots when we want.
I totally agree. I feel like in 10, 20 years, they're going to look back at this era and I'm going to be like, hey, I'm glad I was a part of that.
Yeah, man.
But there's just amazing things going on right now. And I just think with a combination of...
Who are your favorite comics?
I'm saying with a combination of podcasting.
Yeah.
With podcasting, social media.
Everybody comes.
And then what's happening at the Comedy Store, it's an amazing thing.
We're in people's ears, man.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Working, you know, moving boxes. We're in the working man's ear. That's who's listening.
Well, that's true.
Times, you know.
Well, I mean, I like everything that's going on. I love. You know, we're both great friends with Chris D'Elia. You know what I mean? And I just think that what Chris is doing right now is it's pretty incredible. Like it's like an amazing. Like you could write a book about it. Like just his rise
in social media,
collecting a fan base the way he is so engaged with his fan base that it's a new way. Yeah. It's almost like another lane. It's a new lane of like fame and fortune.
It 100% is.
You know what I mean?
It's never been easier to make more money with less effort. But he owes his career to me, and we should mention that.
Nobody does more with less.
Yeah, and I want to say you're welcome, Chris, because there's no Chris D'Elia without the kid. You know what I'm saying?
Is it like was it hard for you to watch that happen?
No,
you know,
no. Chris was undeniable.
I knew that. That's a great word for it. Yeah, me too.
I mean, I love that kid, and but also.
But when I saw him at Carnegie Hall, I was like, Carnegie Hall, like what?
But I knew.
How did this happen?
Neil Brennan and I were watching him before anybody knew him, and Neil was like, oh, he's going to be, and he's just undeniable.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I said to Neil, I go, I just want him to read more because I want him to keep this going and I want to expand his expression. I do these weird things. And Neil goes, he's an innocent. Leave him alone. He's a fucking, he lives to make people laugh. That's what he does. Yeah. And he's undeniable. I mean, you know,
it's like he doesn't.
I don't get, I've never felt, ooh, that guy's doing better. That's a scarcity way of thinking. And it's also false. I just, but when it's a friend of mine like that, I'm just, I get so excited about it.
I know exactly what you're saying because I feel the same way. Yeah. But there still also is a healthy level of like, envy.
It puts you
that
on
pushes you.
Yeah, it puts
That's
you
all.
on notice.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I like
seeing that.
I learned a lot from watching Chris and Brendan and all these young dudes who were doing social media right.
Oh.
I learned. I was so resistant. So now
I just started a podcast,
man.
I know exactly what you're saying about being resistant.
Rogan, I was watching Rogan. He was always a social media beast.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck all this. I don't want to do. Well, it was called self-promotion. And I felt weird about it.
Yeah.
But nah. Fuck all that.
No, because again, stuck in the old school way of like, no, this is how you do it. You get on TV, you do a late night show, people, the clubs support you, and then now it's just like, no, there's like,
And I've realized that, as we're talking, I haven't posted in about 3 days, so I got to post.
I know.
I
got my agent calling me. I had this funny talk with my agent. He calls me and he's like, "Hey man, I'm looking at your Instagram and like, you got to be more like Theo. Like on Theo's Instagram.
He's smart. Is this Justin?
No, it was Ryan over there. But he's
Ryan's right.
But he's looking. But I didn't appreciate I didn't appreciate like he looked at Theo. So I looked at Theo's and I was like, it's like I don't see what you're talking about in terms of like.
Well, Theo is so. I was watching. He does that podcast with Shab, and goddamn, he's funny. Theo can do some. He's just roasting people.
He's just a weird.
Yeah, he makes these corollaries.
Yeah.
He's good. Damn, he's good.
Yeah. So again, another person that we're seeing like in this era of the Comedy Store.
So good.
It's great to watch the rise.
Theo works so hard, and he's so unique, but he works hard. He
very
obsesses.
Unique.
He's a really hardworking guy.
Yeah.
He's very considerate about everything he does. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it's like he
hates himself. But we'll join the club.
You got to have, exactly. You got to have a little bit of that.
You should have low self-esteem if you're a comic.
Yeah, there's no way. Like and then we have to be able to deal with like the no all the time. So you
got to love yourself, man. No, you don't.
No, there has to be a little bit of like, I don't love myself, so I have to keep improving. Then we never finish.
Correct.
Then you just get to a point where you're so old that you're just like, I never improved. And then you look back. You know what I would say? I feel like my career, I'm on a treadmill and it's set to one incline.
You're a turtle.
Okay. And so then I'm going and going and going. But then when I turn around after a while, I go, oh, I actually have done some things.
Well,
but I don't notice it while I'm doing it.
Which is why your metric should never be in comparison. It should be in comparison to yourself and where you came from.
Right.
Not in what that guy's doing. Because that's weird math that doesn't stack up.
Well, it doesn't translate anyway because of like people, like I always say, there's no right or wrong way. I always say people that want to do comedy, they look at someone and go, oh, I want to do exactly what that guy did. But it's like, it's not going to work that way because that guy did it.
Yeah.
So now it's like, what's your lane? And there's so many different lanes right now.
Yes.
So it's just like finding that lane and being authentic and true to yourself. But that's actually the hardest part about being a stand-up comic is being as authentic as you can.
I agree. I mean, I think that the mission has always been for me original self-expression. That simple. And that challenge never goes away. You're always trying to. I love it. I mean, right now I've really fallen in love with writing again because after shooting my special, Complicated Apes, sorry,
there it is,
best thing I've ever done. But I felt
Reba.
empty. Yeah, second besides Reba. But I felt empty. I was like, I don't know how to write anymore. What questions am I even going to ask?
Well, I always find you to be someone that is like right on the edge of like, especially politically. Your political beliefs are like, I feel them in flux all the time, in warring with like what's going on with like this sort of black and white culture that we have. Like even though we live in the gray area,
I have a joke about that. I say if you'd never vote for president because I'd be like, I don't know, sometimes maybe it depends.
Yeah,
and the more I learn and the more open I stay, I am right wing, I am left wing, I am middle. It just depends.
It really does depend.
The more I learn about something, the more respect I have for like just that Me Too thing, or a lot of my problems with the left and stuff. Well, if you didn't have the left, you need both.
Yeah. Would you consider where are you? Are you like just right of the center, or just like right? Are you always in a circle around there?
Give me a topic.
Exactly.
So I believe in equality of opportunity. I don't believe you can socially engineer equality to an extent. You have anti-discrimination laws; those are important, but I don't think you go into boardrooms and say, "Not enough women here." I think that's the dumbest. Well, it's a Marxist idea, and I'm vehemently against it. And any kind of Marxist ideology, I think, is lacks creativity, doesn't work, and is ultimately oppressive. However, I also think we are in a period of time where pure capitalism, i.e., making shareholders wealthy and not reinvesting in research and development, just to take an example of an economy and business, is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's short-term thinking, and managers have a lot of pressure to make shareholders wealthier, and so they'll make decisions that are not long-term. So you're not building things to last necessarily, and so I don't know if that creates real wealth. I don't know, but there are intelligent arguments that would suggest no. So there are a lot of these are not these are just ideas. So if you ask me if I'm right or left,
right.
I'm just talking about a problem that when you have any time you embrace an ideology hook, line, and sinker, whether it's libertarianism, which I like a lot of, or socialism, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You better be a verb. You better be responsive to the evidence. Be willing to change your mind. Don't root in an ideology. Don't root into a team. Don't self-identify. Because, by the way, when you say that you're a Republican, when you say you're a Democrat, when you say you're a hard left, those ideas were given to you. You didn't come up with those ideas. You are parroting. You are aping a lot of ideas that were given to you by your parents, by your community, by your culture.
Yeah, religion and politics. So you get that starts at home.
It's up to you to throw. I'm quoting Nietzsche basically, but shuck that off. Don't be a camel. Be a lion, and invent invent a moral and ethical philosophy that adheres to who you really are.
Yeah, and then the only way you can find that out is you have to live. You got to live.
Have respect for traditions that have been around for a long time, because the Judeo-Christian ethic, the Islamic ethic, the Greek ethic, and moral discourse has a great deal to offer. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Know that, respect it, understand that it has something to offer, and then find your way, man.
Yes, right. Find your way.
Find your way.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, I just think that this is, what's happening in the world right now. Like, I think having Trump as president, it should make people wake up to, like, what are your real thoughts about, politics? Like, what do you want to see happen, and how involved do you want to get into it?
If you don't get yourself involved with politics, politics will find you.
Yeah.
It'll involve itself with you.
That's it.
Because what will happen is, if you have an authoritarian strongman in power and your democracy starts to slowly erode, institutions don't mean what they used to, etc. Well, you're going to wake up, and by that time it'll be too late. So civic pushback to anyone in power is very important.
It's exactly.
It's a responsibility as an American.
Yeah, but and look, like I say, like, when you get this voting thing in the mail now, you get it. Like, what I realized in the last election is, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, who are these people? Like, what is this about? Is this enough information? This little pamphlet that you get for voting? I don't know if it's enough information.
Absolutely not.
And then we're inundated with this, like, with social media and, like, what's going on TV to tell us that, hey, this is what's supposed to happen, when
you don't even know it's true or anything.
Right.
You don't know if it's Russian bots. You don't know what the fuck is going on.
Dude. There's three things that I don't think should be for profit. Okay, education, healthcare, and the news.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that.
I don't think they should be for profit.
Yeah, but I'll push back a little bit. But I agree with you on the news. I think it's like the famous story when the 60 Minutes, the editor-in-chief came in and said, good news and bad news. Good news is 60 Minutes just got amazing ratings. Bad news is 60 Minutes just got amazing ratings.
Yeah.
And now you have opinion makers.
Which is not the
Tucker
news.
Carlson, Sean Hannity.
It just looks like the news.
Yeah, Don Lemon. These people are concerned with their ratings. They look at their ratings. They're not looking GE, and whoever their corporate sponsors. They got to make these people happy, and they're speaking to an echo chamber. Their echo chamber already agrees with them. You can't actually challenge the Fox narrative, because your ratings, your viewers will be like, hey, you're saying shit I don't agree with. Yeah, how dare you? So that's not real objective news. So I agree with you there. I think that schools, we do have a vibrant educational community. Educational.
I'm just saying it should pay for itself, is what I'm saying.
Well, what I'm saying is an argument to be made there. I just worry that, there is a lot of innovation that goes on in medical technology and things, and a lot of that is for-profit venture capital funded, and I do think we're seeing the fruits of that labor. So we have to be careful with there is a place for the profit motive, but I agree with you in principle. I agree with what you're saying.
Like healthcare, for instance. Okay, this is what I'm saying about healthcare. You have the MRI machine.
That's right.
They have the machine at the hospital. Okay, like charging people $6,000 for an MRI. What is the point in that? I'm just saying that the healthcare.
That's.
I'm just, you know what I mean. I'm just saying that the model of like how they make money. Like, I'm not saying like I want doctors to make money. I want people, but I'm saying I think there's a way for it to pay for itself, where it doesn't have to be like. To me, there shouldn't be somebody sitting in a mansion someplace making $1 million that has never wiped someone's ass in a hospital because they like pharmaceutical and all that kind of stuff. The bigger. How is insulin? Like, how are people dying because they can't get insulin?
And I don't want to live in a society like that.
Right? We live in a society like that. So I'm just saying that's where I'm talking about it, where I feel like
my friend's a doctor, they couldn't afford cancer drugs. And he said, what do I do? And the doctor said, go home and read the Bible. He didn't know what to do. The doctor was crying. So there are stories like that. And I think none of us want to live in a society like that. I think the bigger threat is that politics is for sale.
Yeah. Oh, well. When has it not been for sale?
I think it's worse now. I think that now when you have congressmen who spend 70% of their time calling fundraisers, calling money sources, calling people that give to their campaign, and they do it across the street in their car, and they have a list of donors. When they're doing that, when you have real problems with Americans, but what's being debated on the floor of the House is swipe fees for banks, because their lobbying effort is so strong. When you, as a politician, basically have to say what you're told and not what speaks to your conscience.
That's where we have a problem.
We are now in Washington, D.C. This is an economy of influence. This is an economy where, being a congressman is great for 6 years, but what you're really going to do is this $160,000 is bullshit. You're going to go to K Street in about 5-6 years and use those contacts and work for a lobbying firm and make 5 times that much money.
But if you think about it, I'm not surprised that, look at our industry and how technology and being an influencer and all this is like affected our industry. Why wouldn't it not affect other industries as well?
Look at Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez using social media, took an incumbent who'd been there for, I think, 20, 30 years. I mean, he was entrenched. She kicked him the fuck out.
Right.
And
even Trump himself. Like, he saw what was happening. And like, he had a great campaign. People.
Trump was funny.
Yeah, this is what I say all the time too.
Trump was fun to watch.
He called the guy fat at a debate.
Dude, I don't like the guy, and I've said this many times.
He's the closest to an independent president we've had in what?
I like these. I'd like these
years, maybe.
China personally. I think China's awful in a lot of ways. I have big criticism of China. I think they are immorally. I mean, what they're doing right now to the Uyghurs, which is a Muslim minority, and rounding them up, and they are putting them in concentration camps. They're liars, and they're immoral in what they're doing. And that's a small example. That is a totalitarian. I don't care what anybody. Oh yeah, they're free, right? As long as you don't say anything against the government, as long as you do what you're told. And your WeChat is monitored, and you better be a card carrying communist. So fuck off. And I like that they don't have fair trade practices. They do engage in
Which we've allowed because we want everything. We want everything to be cheap.
Symbiotic relationship. I do like that he's like, you're ripping us off. No more. And let's go. Let's have a little trade war. I know this is bad for the economy. I'm not an economist. I'm being general with this. I do kind of enjoy. But the point is that the dude's funny. The dude, you can't help but to be like, what did he say?
I know.
And if the Democrats put someone
turns out he's a great politician.
He's a great politician. And if the Democrats and the economy's doing really well in a lot of sectors. So if the Democrats put someone like Elizabeth Warren up against him, you watch what the fuck happens.
It's gonna be another ass.
The Democrats are so unorganized. They're eating their own.
I'm a self-hating liberal.
Right. You need, I'm telling you, I say it, if you want to compete with that dude, I would suggest this time around, I'm sorry, everybody, get a dude who's had military service, like a Navy SEAL, who's smart and big and got a biting wit.
Yeah.
A guy who did team sports that can roast you. Have him stand with Trump. Americans who voted for Trump,
or like Peyton
dudes
Manning.
are going to be like, yeah. Dudes are going to be like, you'll get all those Trump voters. I promise. They'll be like, I'm going with that guy because I like him because he actually was in the military.
Yeah.
All you got to do with Trump is go, listen, you're a big fat pussy. At the end of the day, you never did really, you played basketball, but you didn't do military service.
Right.
And also, you're not that rich. You're too afraid. And you're not an American. You're a Trumper. You're for Trumpistan. You're actually for Trumpistan because you're a narc. You can hit him with those things. There are some, he does have an Achilles heel.
Dude, Biden.
But then you got to be funny and say,
Biden's trying.
Nah, Biden's fucking ancient.
Yeah, I know, but
sucks.
I know, but he's out there. He's trying to go wit for wit.
Obama light. That dude, he's had his shot. Get the fuck out of here, Biden. The Joe Biden. Hey, I'll bring back Obama. The fuck Americans are gonna be like, I had $600 in the bank, bitch. Get out of here. I'm making more money now. Get the fuck out of here, Biden.
So no, you're no on Biden.
Biden's the dumbest idea. He'll get.
But he looks like he might win the nomination.
Good. He's not even in the same area code. Yeah, he'll give lip and stuff. And Trump will be like, what'd you do? You've been a politician for how long? You're a career politician, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And you cheated on you plagiarized your college or your law school things.
At this point, who cares about that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, you got Trump.
Trump has already like made it where it's like,
but he can be like, hey, guess what?
What's the moral standing?
Guess what? 2-year investigation came up with shit.
Oh, don't even get me started.
But that's what he can say.
Don't even get me started.
And Americans are going to be like,
when I knew there was nothing is when, first of all, when the lawyer. Okay, so you got the lawyer. He's going to jail.
Yeah,
he has nothing to lose.
Michael Cohen. Yeah,
and he says nothing. Yeah,
he didn't.
He says nothing, and I was like, uh-oh. You know what I thought it was like? It reminded me of that scene. It reminded me of that scene in Godfather 2. You know, they're doing the Senate hearing, and then in walks Corleone with his brother, and then Frank Pantangeli's all like, "Yeah, I worked with his father.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
I worked with his father. You misunderstand me." It was almost like Cohen, like Trump walked in with his brother or something, because I was like, this guy's not saying anything. He's going to jail. He has nothing to lose.
Such a good scene.
You know what I mean? And that's what I thought happened with Cohen.
They found his brother in Italy, and he was slow. The guy was slow.
My favorite scene is like Corleone's like getting patted down to come into prison, and he's just looking at him. You know, he sees his brother, and then he has that look where he's like, okay, all right, okay.
Oh.
All right, I got you.
I don't remember.
But I feel like it was something like that. I just don't get. So when I saw that, I was like, I was telling my liberal friends, prepare for the Mueller report to actually have nothing biting.
Yeah.
Like, yes, what's in there already is enough that the president shouldn't be involved in this kind of shit, but it's not enough apparently to get Congress to go, let's impeach the guy.
Listen, and the Democrats have to let go of this.
Let it go. Hey, let's move on.
The Russians didn't get Trump elected, you dumb fuckers. That's the dumbest. The Russians didn't have shit to do with that. Fuck all that. The Democrats lost. Hillary Clinton lost that election. Okay. She could have won that shit. And the Democrats
fair enough
shouldn't have put Hillary Clinton up. In 2008, America told you they didn't like her, but you put her back up there. Nobody likes her. They don't trust her. They don't fucking like that shit.
It's a weird.
So you guys. Like,
well, how about? That's why I think Bernie should go away.
Fuck yes, he's a he's a crusty. He took his vacation in he took his honeymoon in the Soviet Union. Do you know that?
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah. He honeymooned in Russia.
Well,
so you want to talk about Russian collusion?
Well, look,
that was when they were communists.
He already got outplayed by someone that got outplayed by Trump. So like, why have this guy again? Like, let's get out of here, right?
Tools.
But this Mueller report, man, I just feel like I always say I have a joke where I say like because Nancy Pelosi, a couple months before it came out, she was out publicly saying, "Hey, I think we need to stop worrying about impeachment. Let's worry about the election." Because I think she saw Mueller at a Starbucks and he was like, he just gave her a look like, "There's nothing. Just move on. Don't. There's nothing." If you need 2 years to investigate something, you don't got shit.
I agree.
You know, I always say they should have got a woman to do it. Like a woman found bin Laden. Okay. That was a woman.
Yeah.
All the woman needed was like Trump's phone and like a deep dive on Instagram. And this shit had been like
a deep dive on Instagram.
And this shit would have been like,
I think they got apps now where you can hack
yeah. Like I'm just saying, like they should have got because women are more meticulous, just more, more patient with investigating things like that. So I don't know. I just think that, but anyways, they're still harping on that. And while they're doing that, the right is still galvanized. Like, there's not enough for people to go, well, I don't think I like him anymore.
Well, if the economy stays where it's at, Trump will be reelected.
Well, and then now this like abortion is like a huge issue
that's
right
what
now.
I'm very worried about.
Yeah, that's huge.
I think the bad ideas are gaining track. I think they're trying to force a Supreme Court decision.
Oh no, that's exactly what the Alabama thing is like. That's very calculated because then they're going to sue, and now the suing is going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And here's the precedent, and then this will really say where we are as a nation.
We have a conservative majority in the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but you know what? I still have faith in the system. Like I don't think people go that long in the judicial system to be like a judge, a lawyer. How many times have there been? There've already been conservatives who have turned.
Kavanaugh voted very liberally in many of his decisions.
First of all, Kavanaugh's not a terrible guy. Yeah, I think what happened to him was like unfair.
Yeah,
I think that was unfair.
So do I.
And
so do I. I think it was a
witch hunt. I mean, that 400
16 years old.
That 400-page report said a lot about that they haven't put that out, and they really need to.
He had an impeccable record. There was absolutely no history of him. Predators have a history. There's a long trail. He's had an impeccable record up until then. And this woman didn't seem terribly stable.
And his temperament they kept talking about. But my pushback on that is always like, let's say he did it.
Yeah.
Let's say he didn't do it. He didn't do it.
Yeah.
And he's now being accused of this while he's trying to go for the greatest job in his profession. I would be upset. Let's say he did it.
Yeah.
And now he's up on this thing and he's going to lose the great. Either way, he's going to be upset.
Is he the same person he was at 16 as he is now? That's another question. Are any of us? And the other thing is, but I think this was really a question of a lot of people, especially women, just people in general, including myself, were very afraid that the wrong justice, a conservative justice.
Well, 2 of the women came out and said they were lying.
Yes. But a conservative,
they just didn't want him to make it on the Supreme
justice
Court.
Was going to come on the court.
But that's happened already, and they flipped.
And overturn Roe v. Wade. And I understand that. And I think sometimes you go, you know what? I'm going to fight dirty, and I see a little opening here. I'll do whatever I can to get this motherfucker, to get a liberal justice or someone who's pro-choice that I know is pro-choice. Yeah. On that, that's some things are worth fighting for.
I get you,
So.
But I mean, it's such a. But you know what I think we're missing in the world right now is nuance on an issue. Like everybody looks at things as everything's so black and white.
Yeah, but
and even the abortion issue is not black and white.
Sometimes black and white's forced on you, and when a presidential candidate is heard saying, "I grab him by the pussy," and he's rewarded for it. See, we're all as men. We're all going to pay for that collectively. We haven't even paid. I mean, it should be no surprise that it's not that women are angry. They're afraid.
Yeah. If you let that go.
That's fucking terrifying. But
even though it felt like a euphemism, though. Even though it felt like
you got Missouri and Alabama like passing the most restrictive abortion laws on the planet in the name of, whatever. That's
Christianity.
Terrifying, man.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm not surprised that it's Alabama, though. Are you surprised in Alabama?
No.
They seem to be.
But, there is a evangelical, a strong evangelical.
But what is that going to mean for people? Are people going to move out of Alabama? Is that what's going to happen?
This will be a fight, as it always is.
Yeah, but they're going to, isn't it, did they make it a law already?
Well, but remember that states are always under federal jurisdiction. So a state may pass a law, but the federal government can always come in and say, no.
Well, this particular federal government's not going to do that, though. That's why they're gonna sue, and it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna go all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, well, that's what they're trying to do.
Then we'll see where we are in the world.
Yeah, it's very scary.
I mean, it's gonna be.
These are religious,
crazy times.
These are people with deeply held religious convictions that you are killing a human life, that you're killing an innocent baby, and that's how they feel. They have a strong argument, scientifically and morally, I suppose, for that. I say that as somebody who's pro-choice, because I actually think that a woman's right to choose should supersede that, at least until the
but what I'm
check
this out. But what I'm saying is like this is what I'm talking about with nuance. It's also okay. The two things can be true, but we're just saying that let's not put a moral value on it. That's the thing that I feel about it.
We do it all the time because we're feeling creatures.
I know, but what I'm saying though is I believe in I'm pro-choice too. I'm like, look, choose that woman should choose. It still doesn't mean that that choice is a great choice.
No,
it's just that we're just saying that but you can make that choice.
Yeah, well,
that's what I'm saying.
So I always say,
I'm saying you can make the choice. You should make the choice.
It's an innocent life, right? Let me grant you that. Okay, so that at all costs, human life should be preserved, and I love that. I love that religious.
It's a nice
idea.
sentiment. Yeah, I don't think it's religious.
You really feel that?
You really think I don't think it's just religious. I wouldn't put it on that.
It has its roots probably in the.
I get it, but I think that would be like a.
But the idea that all human life is sacred is a religious idea, right? So, in other words, severely retarded, a severely handicapped person, and then an unborn child. These are not, and then Eric Griffin. The idea that they are the same worth.
Fuck, marry, kill. Go.
There you go. Oh, fuck. That's very good. Oh my God. I mean, obviously, Eric Griffin, all three. But when you start talking about how those lives are all of the same moral worth.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about religion. The only way to prove that is with
I
religion.
get you.
So, but what I'm saying is that if you're that way, okay, I respect that. But if you're that concerned with innocent human life, lower the speed limit to 25 miles an hour everywhere and make the penalty for going above it life in prison. What you'll do is you'll save probably 54,000 lives a year.
Yeah.
Innocent lives. Children, a lot of children too.
Texting and driving is
ready to do that? You want to do that? Go ahead. Why don't we do that?
And the guns.
Why don't we do that?
All that kind of stuff.
And make all guns illegal. Because even if you're pro-gun, make all guns illegal. Some people die of knives and by car and all that shit. Murderers will kill, terrorists will find ways. But let's just make all guns. You'll save a couple lives, right? Yeah. So are we willing to do all these things?
Yeah.
No. We put a price on human life all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's part of what life is. Now, I'm not willing. I am not ready. I can't tell a woman, because I'm not a woman, what to do with her body.
That again
in rape and in incest.
Yeah, I'm with you 100.
In rape and in incest, especially.
I didn't understand that one. I just
because we're dealing with religion.
That part about it really was like that's a real fuck you. That's like a
passed by a lot of men.
That's a real fuck you.
I'm not a fucking left wing dude here. Passed by a bunch of straight white men. But I get that. I'd be like, hey, motherfucker.
Yeah, when I heard that one, I was like,
guys who look like me. Bunch of guys that look like me. I get it.
That's a hard one. That's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But basically though, my point about it is that we're it's muddy waters. Like it's like you're picking the lesser of two evils in a situation.
Yes. And like Rogan said on his podcast, it's messy.
Yeah,
abortion is a messy topic, man, and I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't. I feel like I feel like a walking contradiction.
Yes.
I feel confused. It's like immigration too. I don't know what to do with these children. I don't know what to do with them. I don't know.
By the way, you say that I was watching you one night and you just offhanded, and I just love how you said it.
Yeah.
Just because you were talking about the subject, you just offhandedly about the wall and everything. You were like, hey guys, you all have doors and you have locks on them. So
well, if you don't believe in borders at all, take the front door off your house. That's what I say.
Yeah, exactly.
We all believe in borders.
Yeah, but just the way you said it was just sort of like it was a little.
Just throw that out.
Just
there.
little poke to the left.
Throw it out there.
Yeah, it's just people very. But what we're pointing out is hypocrisy.
But I acknowledge the left too, in that I believe in borders, but I'd be a shitty border control agent. I'm too emotional, so I'm not consistent.
Right, but in the same way, I wouldn't work at a children's burn hospital.
Fuck.
I couldn't do it.
Holy fuck! That's a great example.
I would
That's
be
a great example.
I would be bawling every day. I would be just.
And if you weren't, I don't want to be the guy who.
I don't want to be a person that knows how to compartmentalize their feelings like that.
FBI profilers that deal with the worst crimes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It takes a certain. What the thing is, I don't think we need a wall. Isn't technology to the point where we can have camera systems and drones flying it all the time?
We do, and
I don't understand what they're talking about. Can we have infrared drones? And
how do you build a wall over the Rio Grande? I mean, there are a lot of issues.
I don't know this.
A lot of property rights.
First of all, the wall thing is like, you know what? Can I tell you something that I think is like weird about Trump and how people respond to him? When is the last time we've had a president that actually is trying to fulfill his campaign promises?
He is.
That's what I'm just saying.
No, he is.
It's a kind of weird.
I don't kid. People thought I was kidding.
Yeah.
I don't kid. Thank you for your vote. But excuse me. The important thing is the American people agree with me.
He's literally trying to fulfill campaign promises, and people have a problem with that. Yeah. I just think it's weird. I just think it's like it's a weird. It lends itself to us to think that we should really be listening to campaign promises, and at that point be like, is this really what we want? Is it? Everything's politicized.
He's going to get reelected.
But I would put money on it, bro. I would put money. If there was a Vegas thing, I'd put money that he's going to get reelected, unless the Democrats find a way to go. Let's just pick someone. Fuck all this primary stuff. Let's stop fighting each other because all we're doing is it's just
it's Obama's circular firing line.
They need to just go. Let's skip all this. Right. We're gonna put all our attention behind you, no matter who that is. Yeah. You know what I mean? So exactly. I don't know. Where are we at right now? Man, we're gonna be yapping all day.
I love it. See, I can talk to you all day. I gotta kind of get going.
No. This is wow. We've been here too long.
I have my kung fu.
You got to do your kung fu class?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what, man? I'm going to call this BC Part 1. You know what I mean?
I'll come back. I mean, we're 10 minutes away from each
other. Yeah, I would love. This is great because then we'll just have this will be what we'll do.
Are you coming on Fighter and the Kid?
Yeah, I'm gonna be on Wednesday. Right. If this will come, well, I would have already been on Fighter and the Kid when this comes out.
Well, I love doing this with you.
Yeah, let's do it more often, man. I appreciate your brain. I appreciate your thoughtfulness and how you think about things. I don't it's people are too quick to be like when you say something, oh, you're a right wing nut or you're a left wing nut or you're such a man or this and that. Yeah. There's nuance to what we're talking about right now.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that about what you're saying.
Nuance.
We're missing nuance. You know what nuance is? It's the difference between body positivity and delusion.
You have such a beautiful way of putting shit.
That's the nuance right there. Am I a fat ass or should I feel good about myself?
That's great.
That's the nuance, and we need more of that in the world.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, nuance is it's a shapeshifter.
Yes.
And you need to be a shapeshifter.
Yes.
Nuance moves with what's in front of you and the truth.
Yes.
The truth sometimes is a river. There are multiple truths. The truth, there are fixed truths, of course, but there's also sometimes the situation on the ground changes, man.
That's my point about things change.
Yeah, be ready.
You have to be ready for that change. Look at relationships. Yes, there's a certain point in a relationship where I loved you.
Look, man.
Now I don't.
Marriage and relationships are a verb. Yeah. Human beings are a verb. We are all works in progress. I have arrived, as you know. I've arrived. I don't have any more work to do on myself, but I think your listeners understand that. I hope they learned everything.
I think they did. You know what? And that's we're going to end there. This is the great Bryan Callen, and I want to thank everybody for listening to Riffin with Griffin. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and like, and look out for Bryan to come back on because he definitely will. This has been Riffin with Griffin. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next week.